The Bible Study Podcast, episode 467. Today, the Bible Study Podcast continues the study of Proverbs with chapter 8. Welcome to the Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. Proverbs 8 goes like this: Wisdom's call. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Beside the gate leading into the city, at the entrance, she cries aloud, "To you, O people, I call out. I raise my voice to all mankind. You who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. Listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. My mouth speaks what is true. For my lips detest wickedness. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. To the discerning, all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. Choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Does wisdom call out in the marketplace? Does wisdom call out at the city gate? Obviously, the writer here, Solomon, is taking wisdom and he's personifying it. And he's saying, as a repeated theme here, obviously in Proverbs, that there is value in wisdom. But I wonder today if wisdom is only one of those voices that cries out to us. This is going to sound odd on a podcast, from a self-proclaimed expert in the Bible, and I don't claim to be an expert, but somebody who didn't go through any sort of vetting process. You just started listening to me. And I wonder, as we look at different sources on the internet these days, where, again, there's no gatekeepers like there used to be in media, it begs the question of how do we know what is wise? Not every source of information coming to us is even true, let alone wise. We get all sorts of different influences and all sorts of different media things bombarding us, from celebrity news, and some of the behavior that we'd have to say is unwise, to tabloid news, to internet rumors, to weird emails, to good kernels of truth in and amongst all of that. And how do we discern? Because wisdom doesn't, I think, cry out quite the way that Solomon says. And I understand what Solomon is saying here. This quest for all of us who are simple to gain prudence, to all of us who are foolish to set our hearts on wisdom, is something that is still of benefit today. And in fact, maybe even more so, because he says, to the discerning, all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. There is benefit in learning discernment. And part of it is just looking at what is coming to us and looking at the motivations, for instance, where that knowledge is coming from. One of the reasons I don't take ads on the Bible Study Podcast is not that I think it's wrong to take advertising, or not that I think that what I'm doing here shouldn't be supported. But the reason I don't ask for donations and really don't encourage donations in that sense, and really don't want to do advertising, is I want the motivation to be clear. I don't want the motivation, either in my head or in your head, to be, well, he's just doing this to make money. And I think we need to look at the motivation for who is telling us what: our politicians, our advertisers, our coworkers, our friends, and what they're basing what they're saying on. How much have they looked that up, or how much are they just repeating what they heard? And so discernment, I think, is even more increasingly of value. Wisdom is always been of value from Solomon's day to ours, the last 2,500 years. My mouth speaks what is true. My lips detest wickedness. All the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. There are verses in the New Testament also, especially in the book of James, that talk about what comes out of our mouth. And what comes out of the mouth of a person shows you what is in their heart. And one of the reasons then we are called then to watch what comes out of our mouth is as a way of changing our hearts. And I've talked to friends, for instance, who became Christians and had a real problem with profanity. And I remember one particular friend who changed over time. And by the time I met him and he said something like, I used to have a real problem with profanity, you looked at him and he went, "You?" And it was very difficult to believe because we were talking about somebody who, as I knew him, was a gentle and thoughtful and caring person. But that wasn't apparently the person who he was expressing maybe 10, 20 years before I knew him. But sometimes I think we change what we say, and then we change what we think, and then we change who we are over time. We catch before it says it. We put in somebody who is watching our words like wisdom is watching the city gate to say, how will this be perceived? Is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this beneficial? Is this true? And watching before those words go out, because it's a whole lot easier to stop them going out than it is to try and collect them and bring them back again and undo whatever damage we may do with them. Choose my instruction instead of silver, knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Solomon is talking about the value of wisdom. I, wisdom, dwell together with prudence. I possess knowledge and discretion. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Counsel and sound judgment are mine. I have insight, I have power. By me kings reign, and rulers issue decrees that are just. By me princes govern, and nobles, all who rule the earth. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. With me are riches and honor, enduring wealth and prosperity. My fruit is better than fine gold. What I yield surpasses choice silver. I walk in the ways of righteousness, along the paths of justice, bestowing a rich inheritance on those who love me, and making their treasuries full. There are benefits of wisdom. There are tangible benefits of wisdom, is what Solomon is saying. Silver and gold and inheritance for those who love wisdom. And again, we get that theme of path. Remember, wisdom is choosing a path among all the different options available to us. I walk in the way of righteousness along the paths of justice. Righteousness and justice, what do they mean? Righteousness is to be right with God, to have all of the accounts settled, to be doing the things so that we don't have to go repeatedly and ask for forgiveness. Now, we do, but to live in a way that is trying to do the right thing continuously, and especially not in a legalistic way, but in a relationship way, to try and be right with. Are we good with each other? And then along the paths of justice, what is justice? It's very clear when I'm in juvenile hall what justice means. In juvenile hall, it means that if you did the crime, you do the time. Justice is fairness. Justice is those who do get the benefits of what they do, whether it's bad and get punishment or good and get results, that action leads to appropriate consequences. And we are called to be on the path of justice. We are called to make sure that things even out the way they should. Now, this is a broken and fallen world, as we talked about repeatedly, but we are called to be agents of justice, to try and make sure that things are moving along the path towards God's reign. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. I hate pride and arrogance, evil behavior and perverse speech. Why is pride set against wisdom? Those seem like they are orthogonal. Did you walk to school or did you take your lunch? But pride says, I'm the most important person in this world. And it's hard to learn when you have that kind of arrogance. It's hard to see the wisdom that coming from even from a child or from someone else. How do you learn as much if you think that people who are this way are lesser than you? People who didn't have as much schooling, people who aren't as smart as you, people who are that color, people who are from that place. If you can't learn from them, you will learn less. Arrogance gets in the way of wisdom and knowledge. Continuing on, the Lord brought me forth as the first of his works, before his deeds of old. I was formed long ages ago, at the very beginning when the world came to be. When there were no watery depths, I was given birth. when there were no springs overflowing with water, before the mountains were settled in place, before the hills I was given birth, before he made the world or its fields or any of the dust of the earth, I was there when he set the heavens in place, when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above, and fixed securely the fountains of the deep, when he gave the sea its boundary, so the waters would not overstep his command, and when he marked out the foundations of the earth. Then I was constantly at his side. I was filled with delight day after day, rejoicing always in his presence, rejoicing in his whole world, and delighting in mankind. Now remember, this is wisdom speaking. Wisdom saying that wisdom is older than the mountains you see, older than the seas, older than the skies, older than the earth, which is true because wisdom is one of the characteristics of God. God who is always working towards the long term. God who can see ahead, and God who doesn't have those kind of impulse desires that we have and doesn't make foolish choices for short-term gain. Wisdom is a characteristic of God, and therefore it was before this world it was in existence. Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Do not disregard it. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. For those who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord. But those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. When wisdom is talking to us here, it's saying that the love of wisdom is good and, again, good for us. That if we fail to find wisdom, we only harm ourselves, but we at least harm ourselves. We probably also harm others. And that's why those who hate me love death. They bring destruction. When we are foolish, we are not building things up, which probably means we're tearing them down. With that, I pray that you and I will be a little wiser this week. If you have any questions, send an email to host@thebiblestudypodcast.com or leave a comment on this episode at thebiblestudypodcast.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Pinterest, or Instagram as Chris2X. And as always, thanks so much for listening.
Hello, this is Dr. Doug Groothuis, host of Truth Tribe, where we seek the truth through reason and evidence about what matters most. And we are not tribal, since truth is for everyone. Please join me at the Truth Tribe as I discuss the reasons for Christian faith, the Christian worldview, and moral issues such as abortion and gender ideology. To listen now, go to lifeaudio.com or search Truth Tribe on your favorite podcast app.